So this is your teacher Haris Bhatt, and you are seeing my YouTube channel Learn Accounting with Sir Haris. Today we are going to solve a question from AS level accounting, and the question is basically from the topic of company accounts, and it has come in May, June 24, 23. The question has come in May, June 24, 23, means that last year, May, June 24, 23 is the variant. And the first question has come in the paper regard from the company accounts. So let's start doing this. K Limited provided the following extract from the company's draft statement of financial position, draft statement of profit and loss for the year ended 31st December 2023. So revenue is given 8,70,500. Cost of sales is given 4,93,000. Gross profit is given 3,77,500. It has now been discovered that adjustments are required for the following. So these kind of adjustments are required. Opening inventory at 1st January had been understated by 14,000. So it will talk about opening inventory. Opening inventory is basically a part of cost of sales. And cost of sales, we know that cost of sales is subtracted from the revenue to get gross profit. So opening inventory at 1st January had been understated by 14,000. Understated means that the opening inventory has been recorded less than the actual amount. So we will debit opening inventory and we will credit the whatever the amount is that opening inventory is supposed to be subtracted from sales, but it is a part of cost of sales. It is added in cost of sales. When opening inventory had been understated by 14,000, it means that cost of sales is written less by 14,000. Or you can say that opening inventory is a part of cost of sales and it is included in the cost of sales, but the amount of opening inventory is 14,000 short. So we have to add 14,000 in cost of sales, or you can say that cost of sales is basically written undercast by 14,000. And because of that, your profit is overstated. So you have to subtract 14,000 from gross profit, or you can add 14,000 in, you can subtract 14,000, add 14,000, sorry, in cost of sales, and then it will be subtracted from revenue to get gross profit. So it is very easy because opening inventory has been understated and opening inventory is an expense for the business, obviously. So you need to increase the expense. It means that you have to decrease the gross profit. So 14,000 will be subtracted from gross profit and it is apart from the errors. The error chapter we are done with that chapter. So it's a part of errors which we used to do in the rectification of error or errors not affecting trial balance. Sales return had been deducted from purchases. We know that sales return should have been deducted from sales, but instead of subtracting it from purchases or from sales, we have subtracted it from purchases. So let's do that. Let's pass an entry for that to make you understand. We are supposed to debit sales return actually. Because sales return is always debit. But instead of debiting sales return, we have subtracted that amount from purchases. Or you can say that we have credited purchases. बेटा purchases debit होती हैं. जब आप purchases को उसमें से subtract कर देंगे तो purchases क्या हो जाएंगे? कम हो जाएंगे. So it means that instead of debiting sales return, we have credited purchases. Now purchases is going to be debited. Sales return will also be debited and suspense is going to be credited. This is going to be the rectifying entry actually, but spelling mistakes are there, no problem, doesn't matter. So what we are doing, that purchases, it is sales return 8,600. So I will write 8,600 here. Then again 8,600 here, and suspense will come with the double amount. So it means that I have to, purchases are debited, sales return are debited. So what will happen? Gross profit will decrease. In order to find the corrected profit, I have to subtract these two amounts from the gross profit to find the revised gross profit or to find the corrected gross profit. Let me repeat it again. Opening inventory has been understated by 14,000. You have recorded opening inventory less, so you have to increase the cost of sales. Cost of sales will be debited, suspense credit. you have to add 14,000 over here. When you will add 14,000 in cost of sales, your gross profit needs to decrease by 14,000. You can subtract 14,000 from gross profit. Then sales return had been deducted from purchases. You have to debit sales return, or you have to subtract the amount of 8,600 from sales, but you have subtracted it from purchases. तो ऑपोजिट इफेक्ट कर लिया ना आपने. आपने इनकम को कम करना था, आपने एक्सपेंस को कम कर दिया. अब एक्सपेंस को भी आपको बढ़ाना पड़ेगा और इनकम को भी आपको कम करना पड़ेगा. तो बेसिकली आपको अपने प्रॉफिट को डबल अमाउंट से डिक्रीज करना पड़ेगा. उसके लिए मैंने आपको समझाया है. सेल्स रिटर्न को डेबिट करना था, आपने परचेजेस को क्रेडिट कर दिया. अब परचेजेस डेबिट होंगी, सेल्स रिटर्न भी डेबिट होंगी, और आपको उसमें से क्या करना पड़ेगा? यू हैव टू सब्ट्रैक्ट द डबल अमाउंट 8600 एंड देन अगेन 8600 फ्रॉम द ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. लेकिन जनरली अगर आप समझेंगे तो समझ तो ये भी आ जाएगी. इट्स नॉट अ बिग डील, बट इट विल क्रिएट लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूजन इन योर माइंड. जैसे कि सेल्स रिटर्न आपने 8600 माइनस नहीं की तो सेल्स क्या होगी बेटा? ज्यादा होगी. इसी तरह कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल में से आपने परचेजेस में से आपने 8600 ज्यादा माइनस कर दिया तो कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल क्या हो गई? कम हो गई. सेल्स भी ज्यादा हो गई, 8600 से कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल कम हो गई, 8600 से ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट डबल अमाउंट से क्या हो गया? ओवरकास्ट हो गई विद बेसिकली 17,200. तो वो आपको ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से माइनस करना पड़ेगा. बट अगर आप एंट्रीज पास कर लेते हैं तो इवन दैट इज फाइन. Closing inventory at 31st December included 40 damaged items costing 30 each. It is estimated that after repair costing a total of 420, the item could be sold for 38 each. So let's calculate that. The cost was the closing inventory which include 40 damaged items, and each damaged item cost is 30. So the amount is going to be 1200. That is the cost. Now let's calculate the NRV. The NRV is going to be market value minus cost to sell. 420 repair costing total of 420. Then if we are going to go for a repair of 420, then the 40 items can be sold for 38 each. So 40 into 38, how much it will come? Please tell me. 40 into 38. Let me calculate it also. 40 into 38. 1520 minus repair cost of 420. So that is going to be how much? Will become 1100. Okay. So the cost is 1200. Closing inventory, the item which are damaged, the cost is 1200, but the NRV is 1100. So we will subtract 1200 and we will add 1100, or we will subtract 100 from the gross profit to correct the amount of closing inventory. आप ये भी कह सकते हैं, देखिए इसको मजीद समझ लेते हैं. आपने क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री जो कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल में से माइनस की हुई है बेटा, यू हैव सब्ट्रैक्टेड 1200, जबकि आपने उस क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री की वैल्यू को कितना लिखना था? 1100. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि आपने कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल में से 100 ज्यादा माइनस कर दिया है. इसकी वजह से कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल कम हो गई है और ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट 100 से ज्यादा हो गई है. तो आप 100 से ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से अमाउंट माइनस कर देंगे. अगर मेरे पास क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री की वैल्यू दी होती विच इज नॉट गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन, देन आई कुड हैव डन इट मोर इजीली. मैं क्या करता? वैल्यू ऑफ क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री में 1200 जो है माइनस कर देता, 1100 ऐड कर देता, तो माय क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री वुड हैव बीन करेक्टेड. बट हियर यू हैव टू गो फॉर द इफेक्ट ऑन द ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट डायरेक्टली. So you have to pass the entry of like this. I can show you that you have to decrease the closing inventory by 100. So cost of sales is going to debit and closing inventory is going to credit. So cost of sale debit or it means gross profit आपका क्या हो जाएगा? कम हो जाएगा. Now I will find the corrected gross profit. That is 377500. I will subtract 14,000. That is the opening inventory from the gross profit, which we have already done. Then let me write opening inventory. Then I have to subtract less sales return, then less purchases 8600 and 8600. So let me do that also. 8600 and again 8600, and then I have to subtract the loss of inventory 100. Actually it will be subtracted 100, And then I will find the corrected gross profit, revised gross profit 346,200. So let me do that. That is going to be 346,200. 346,200. So we are done with this part of the question. Now let's move forward. The next part of the question is this, that we have to go for the income statement. Calculate the revised gross profit. Workings are given. 5 marks are there. First January, 6% debenture, property at valuation, plant and equipment, retained earnings, revaluation reserve is given. Share capital 0.5 each, 9 lakh. So 9 lakh divided by 0.5. So the number of shares are going to be 18 lakh. Share premium is given 55,000. During the year ended 31st December, the following payments had been made: admin expenses, debenture interest, distribution cost, dividends, and equipment purchased 1st April to 20,000 ka. Means that we have purchased an equipment on 1st April 2023 for a price of 20,000. Always remember that equipment is given here, and that equipment, the amount is given at 1st January. So it means that in 1,60,000, the 20,000 of the equipment is not yet added. It means that इस पर आपको depreciation भी लेनी पड़ेगी, और अगर monthly basis है तो 20,000 पे आप you will calculate depreciation 20,000 into 20%, here it is given, into 9/12, right, by straight line method. So you will calculate 1,60,000 into 20%, it will come directly, that is going to be 32,000, and you will calculate 20,000 into 20%, 4,000 into 9/12. Depreciation should be allocated admin expenses 60% and distribution 40%. Distribution costs include a cost of 5 months advertising campaign 22,000, which will end on 31st March. Our financial year basically ends on 31st December. So it means that out of 5 months, the distribution cost is prepaid for 3 months. So 22,000 into 3/5, January, February, and March. That is prepaid for January, February, and March. So 22,000 into 3/5, it will be subtracted from distribution cost. Debenture interest is outstanding at 31st December 2023. The debenture had been issued in 2021, right? So debenture interest is outstanding. Debenture interest paid is 9,000. And what debenture interest is outstanding? We have to release the debenture payment in 2024. So this will not be treated as non-current liability. It will be treated as current liability. Why, sir? It has come in another question also in, if I'm not, in May, June 24, 22. Yes, in May, June 24, 22, we have same type of question. Then in debenture is a current liability in that question also. And this question has come in May, June 24, 23. Again, the debenture is a current liability. Why? Because we are in 2023 and these debentures are supposed to be paid in the next year. So it's a current liability. 3 lakh into 6% is the interest, 18,000. Out of that, we have paid 9,000. So 9,000 is basically outstanding, which will be recorded as 18,000 under the heading of expenses. Tax for the year ended 31st December is estimated to be 11,300. On 1st March, property was revalued at 7,20,000. So there is going to be revaluation reserve. On 1st March 2023, property was revalued. So revaluation reserve is given. Property at valuation is 8,40,000. Sorry. And on 1st March, this 8,40,000 has become how much? 720. So there is a revaluation downward. There is a revaluation loss. And revaluation loss will be subtracted from revaluation reserve if it is available first. And then the remaining loss will be taken out from retained earnings. On 1st May, right issue of share was made. Shareholders were offered 3 ordinary shares for every 5 ordinary share held at 1st January. On 1st May, the shares were issued at a premium of 0.2 per share, means 0.5 plus 0.2, 0.7. Total trade payables total 30,000. Trade payables total 38,000 on 31st December 2023, because trade payables are not given over here. So what's the question? Statement of profit and loss starting from the corrected gross profit. So let's do that. I'll prepare here, because I have to prepare the balance sheet also. That's why statement of profit and loss, and I will start it from the gross profit, which is the corrected gross profit. I will write here, and gross profit corrected is 346. We have calculated that 346,200. So the corrected gross profit is going to be how much? That is 346 200. You know that we have to subtract the operating expenses from the gross profit, and there are two operating expenses. So I will subtract less distribution cost and then again less admin cost. Let's see. Distribution cost given in the question is, there is distribution cost 97,100, and he has clearly said the distribution cost include a 5-month advertising campaign of 22,000, which will end on 31st March 2024. So it means that there is a prepaid of 3 months in the distribution cost. So what I will do, I will write here 97,100. Can you please calculate 22,000 into 3 over 5? Okay, I will do that with you. 22,000 into 3 divided by 5, it will come 13,200. So minus 13,200, because that is not a part of the distribution cost, because it is prepaid advertising expense included in the distribution cost. 22,000 into 3 over 5, January, February, and March. Then there is a depreciation of 60%, 40% will go to distribution cost. So let me calculate that. 32,000 is the depreciation on 1,60,000 of plant and equipment at the rate of 160 into 20%. 16 to the 32,000, and 20,000 into 20%. How much it will come? Let me calculate. 20,000 into 20%, 4,000 into 9 by 12. This will become 3,000. So the depreciation is going to be, which will be added in this figure, that is going to be how much? Let me go for the calculation. Any other thing regarding the distribution cost is given? What is happening? Property at valuation, that is not a part of distribution cost. Okay. Okay. So distribution cost included depreciation we have to calculate. So let's calculate the depreciation expense. And how we are going to calculate that? 97,100. Then you have to calculate the depreciation, and that is, let me calculate it for you. 32,000 is the depreciation. Okay, 32,000 is the depreciation. 1,60,000 into plus 3,000 on 20,000, that is 35,000. 40% of this will go to the 35,000 into 40% will be part of distribution cost. So how much it will come? I will add this in the distribution expense. 35,000 into 40%. 1,60,000 into 20% is the depreciation on plant and equipment, that is 32,000. And plus 20,000 we have purchased another asset, another plant. We have to calculate on that also, that is 14,000. So the distribution cost which needs to be subtracted is 97,900. Okay. If you want to calculate, I can do that for you. 60,000 into 20% plus 20,000 into 20%, or into 3 over 12 carrow into 9 over 12. So you will get the amount over here. Let me write here also if you want me to write. Okay. So this is how we are done with that. Now let's move toward the admin expenses. Admin cost given is 111,400. Okay. And definitely first, you know that 111,400 plus the depreciation 35,000 ka 60%. So you can calculate 35,000 into 60%. 0.6, that is 21,000. 21,000 is going to be added. So what amount will come? That is 132,400. So that is the admin expenses. Again, it will be subtracted from here. 132,400. Yeah, there is no other expense regarding the admin expenses. You can see the part of the question. There is no expense which is related with the admin expenses. So we'll subtract that and we'll get the profit from operation. That will come after subtracting these two expenses. That will come 115,900. 115,900. And this is known as, the name of this basically is known as profit from operation. Now I have to subtract finance cost from this, less finance cost or interest cost. Always remember, an interest cost will be written all together with the full amount. Why, sir? Because accrual concept के तहत बनती है ना income statement of profit and loss. Expense जब हो जाता है उसे record कर लेते हैं. Either it is paid or not. So debenture interest is 3 lakh into 6%. That is 18,000. Yes, 9,000 has been paid and 9,000 is not yet paid. That is the current liability. But the expense for the year will remain 18,000. Either it is paid or not. So you will subtract 18,000 from the debenture, from the profit from operation, to find the profit before tax. That is going to be 97,900. That is profit before tax. I will write here. Then I will subtract the taxation because it is given in the question. Normally, we don't have taxation in the question in the questions coming in our exams, but here it has come. So taxation is going to be tax for the year is 11,300. I'm going to subtract the tax 11,300 to find the profit for the year, or the profit after tax. You can say that also. So the profit after tax is 86,600. So that's the answer. 86,600 profit for the year. So any problem you can ask me. किसी को कोई मसला है तो बोला झिझक आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. Now, the examiner has asked us to prepare the equity and liability section of the statement of financial position, not the whole balance sheet. Only the equity and liability section of the statement of financial position is a requirement. We know that the equity section basically starts from the ordinary share capital. That is the main important part of the story, ordinary share capital. So let's go back towards the question again. Gross profit, statement of profit and loss is prepared. How many marks are given for that? 8 marks are given. So 10 of marks we have attained. Now, prepare and extract from the statement of financial position at 31st December to show the equity and liability section only. Only the equity and liability section is required. And it also has 8 marks in the exam. So we'll start from the equity section. But here you need to be very focused. Why? Because share capital is 9 lakh. So you have to divide 9 lakh by 0.5 to get the number of shares first. That is going to be 18 lakh. Okay. Now we have issued more shares actually, because the 9 lakh is given on 1st January. So more shares are issued, which are the right shares actually. And the quota system is 3 for every 5. So 5:3. So the right shares are going to be 18 lakh divided by 5 multiplied by 3. How much it will come, please? Anybody who can tell me? 5:3. 5 into 3. That is 10,80,000. Now I can go for the entry. I will pass the entry just to make you understand. Although entries is not required paper mein, but entries are used to come in the paper. There is no such things which you believe that entries won't come. Entries will come in the exam. And then if you will not familiar with the entries, you will find a big trouble. So bank will come first. The shares are issued, that is 10,80,000 multiplied by 0.7. That is the amount of the bank. Why, sir? I will tell you. Share capital will come 10,80,000 into 0.5, and share premium will come 10,80,000 into 0.2. How come, sir? See, the shares are issued at a premium of 0.2 and per share value is 0.5. So 0.5 plus 0.2, it means that right shares are issued at 0.7 per share. The bank will come 10,80,000 into 0.7, whatever the amount will come. Share capital will be credited by 10,80,000 with the face value of the share into 0.5, that is 5,40,000. And share premium will come 10,80,000 into 0.2, and that is 2,16,000. Okay, now I can write ordinary share capital amount is how much? That is going to be 9 lakh, which was in the past, plus 5,40,000, which is the right shares. So the amount is going to be 14,40,000 is the amount of ordinary share capital. Then I will write the share premium. Let's see. We have already share premium in the question, 55,000, but now we have issued more shares, right shares at a premium of 0.25 per share. So I can write here 55,000 plus the share premium on right shares are 2,16,000. 55,000 plus 2,16,000 is going to be 2,71,000. So that is going to be the share premium. Then I will go with the retained earnings. Let's calculate the retained earnings. So that is the important point actually, because finding retained earnings is a little bit technical. Retained earnings are given 1,32,000, right? Retained earnings are given 1,32,000. And we have profit also. So let's calculate it over here. Retained earnings is 1,32,000 plus profit for the year is 86,600, right? Then there are dividend also. So we have to subtract dividend. Sir, where are they? Let me show you. Dividend. Here are dividends, 45,000. So I will subtract minus 45,000. But here comes another thing, which is the revaluation downward. And this is a big thing in the question. Revaluation downward is suggesting us that the property was revalued at 720,000 now. And if you see the value of property, it is 8,40,000. 8,40,000 minus 720. So that is the revaluation downward. So let me calculate that. 8,40,000 minus 720,000. It means the property has been revaluation downward by 1,20,000. So out of 1,20,000, this loss of 1,20,000 because of that the property has revalued downward will be taken out from the revaluation reserve first. If the revaluation reserve is available with us, 90,000 will be taken out from revaluation reserve and there will be no revaluation reserve anymore. And the remaining amount of 30,000 will be taken out from the retained earnings. So I have to subtract 30,000 more from retained earnings to write it in the equity section. So the answer for the retained earning is 143,600. Retained earnings is going to be 143,600. So this is how we are going to calculate the equity section or the total equity. And the total equity, if you go for the total of this, that will become 1,854,600. So equity and liability section, ordinary share capital is 1,854,600. You can do that working here also, and you can write the amount in the next column also. Doesn't matter. एक ही बात है, ऐसा मसला इसके अंदर नहीं. Now next come the non-current liability. Always remember that there is no non-current liability. Why, sir? Because the debentures, which looks apparently that it is a part of non-current liability, but it will not become as non-current liability because the debentures are supposed to be paid in the next year. So that will be written in the current liability section. And I can write debenture that is going to be 6% debentures because they are supposed to be paid in the next year. And the current liability section, the debentures which will come in the current liability section, the amount of the debentures are 3 lakh. Then comes the trade, which cost is going to be there. We are going to write the tax amount. That is not tax, I should say, that is tax payable. Because in the question, if you just look at the question, it is clearly stated in the question that the tax is payable at the end of tax for the 131st summary estimated to be 11,300. So that is the provision for taxation actually. Provision for taxation. Sir, what is provision for taxation? ये तो आपने सर कभी बताया नहीं, नई बात आ गई, बताता हूँ. Provision for taxation का मतलब ये है बेटा, आपको पता है tax is supposed to be paid in the next year. So we will go for an adjustment of the tax in the current year for the current year tax to be paid in the next year, right? So that is the current liability X that will be subtracted from the profit and it will be also shown as a current liability with the name tax payable or provision for taxation. That is 11,300 is the amount. Then comes the trade and other payable. So I will write trade payable simply first. So trade payables are given in the question. Here trade payable, that is 38,000. So I will write 38,000 trade payables here. Okay. And then comes the accrued interest on debenture. That is also a current liability. Sir, वो कैसे? अच्छा, ये देखें. हमने, we are supposed to write debenture interest 6%, that is 18,000, which is an expense. But out of that, we have paid only 9,000. 6 months debenture interest, the remaining 6 months debenture interest is not yet paid. So that is going to be outstanding. हालांकि इसने यहाँ लिखा गलत है फंसाने के लिए आपको. डिबेंचर इंटरेस्ट इज आउटस्टैंडिंग एट 31 दिसंबर. वो कहता है 31 दिसंबर को डिबेंचर इंटरेस्ट जो है वो पेबल है. सारा पेबल नहीं है, लेकिन तभी उसने ये तो नहीं बताया कि 6 मंथ्स का पेबल है, सारा पेबल है, कितना पेबल है. आउटस्टैंडिंग कुछ ना कुछ है. ठीक है जी. तो वो जो बाकी रिमेनिंग था ना 6 मंथ्स का 9,000, 6 मंथ्स का तो पे कर दिया था, वो बेसिकली आपका जो इसमें आएगा. तो आप यहाँ पे इसको लिख सकते हैं डिबेंचर इंटरेस्ट पेबल आउटस्टैंडिंग एक्रूड, और ट्रेड एंड अदर पेबल के नाम से आप उसको जस्ट ऐड करके भी लिख सकते हैं. दैट इज गोइंग टू बी 9,000. You can go for the total now of the current liabilities, and then you can get the total of the equity and liability section of the answer. That is 358,300 is the total of the current liabilities. 358,300, and the total equity and liabilities will become 2212,900. So this is the answer for total equity and liabilities. So this is how we are done with this question. We could have gone for the current assets also, or assets also. How come? Now the property is going to be 7,20,000, and the plant and equipment will be 1,80,000 minus the total depreciation, whatever it is going to be. And then comes, okay, we can't do that. Why? Because the current asset section is not available with us. So that's why he didn't give us the proper information also, and he didn't ask us to prepare the asset section. मैंने कहा वैसे जरा समझाने के लिए शायद हम उसको बना पाए, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं. Directors are planning to expand the business in 2024. The expansion will be financed by one of the following options. Option A, issue 8% debenture. 2030 में repay करने हैं आपने, making a general issue of ordinary share. Advise the director which option they should choose. Justify your answer by discussing both options. And that is 7 marks, and total marks are 30. So debenture is basically non-current liability. So it has to be repaid after some time, where issue of share is going to be a permanent source of capital. Debenture will carry fixed interest rate, where or dividend is supposed to be paid according to the progress of the business, which vary with the performance of the business, according to the profit of the business. Then debentures are supposed to be paid at any cost except fixed interest. It is supposed to be paid at the first instance, where dividend sometimes is not required to be paid when there is no profit. Then for debenture, we should have some kind of security. Collateral has to be given to the person, and for right shares, we don't need any kind of security. Then debenture will increase our non-current liability, whereas ordinary share will become the part of the ordinary share capital in the equity section. So which option we should choose? I think we'll go for the ordinary share, because we have already issued debenture in the past of 3 lakh, and along with that we are already paying interest, which is an expense for the business. Debenture will decrease profit because interest cost will increase, profit will decrease, whereas dividend will not decrease profit. It will decrease retained earnings. नहीं समझे अब आप? स्टेटमेंट ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में तो नहीं आता ना. देखें, हमने फाइनेंस कॉस्ट कहां से माइनस किए? देखें, we have subtracted finance cost from where? From the statement of profit and loss. लेकिन क्या हमने डिविडेंड यहां से माइनस किए? नहीं. बिल्कुल प्रॉफिट कम होगा उससे, लेकिन प्रॉफिट फॉर द ईयर कम नहीं होगा. हमने उसको रिटेन्ड अर्निंग की कैलकुलेशन में से माइनस किए. 132,000 plus 86,600 profit for the year minus 45,000, which is the dividend paid, and minus 30,000 the revaluation downward loss. So we are done with this question. Any problem you can ask me. Thank you very much. Please ask me any question if you want to have. Okay, no problem. Then solve this question fully. The next questions of control account reconciliation of this paper, May, June 24, 23. We are done with question 1. 2 is control account reconciliation. And you can solve the question number 3 also, and 4 is absorption costing. They are easy questions up ahead in the current paper. Thank you very much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.